these are the measurements we're going to be needing for this tutorial. We're going to need our shoulder to waist measurement, and this is going to serve as the length of my jacket. Then I'm going to be using my bust circumference, my waist circumference, my shoulder to bust, which is also shoulder to nipple measurement, and my shoulder measurement. So guys, let's get started. So from the top of my paper, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Then from the side, I'm going to go in by 1 inch. Now I'm going to go in by 6 inches because we're going to be drafting our lapel collar with this, so we need enough space for that. So I'm going to go in with 6 inches. So this is the line we're going to be using. So now I'm going to determine my neck depth. The neck depth I'm going to be using for this pattern is 3 inches. And my neck width is also going to be 3 inches. So now I'm going to place my shoulder measurement divided by 2. And my shoulder slope is going to be 1 inch. Now from the shoulder slope, we're going to be placing our armhole depth line. So to get your armhole depth line, you're just going to divide your bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So you're going to be marking your result from your shoulder slope. So now after getting my armhole depth line, what I'm marking now is my shoulder to bust measurement, which is also shoulder to nipple. Then from the top line, I'm going to mark the length of my jacket. And for the length of my jacket, I'm using my waist measurement, which is my lower waist measurement, and your lower waist is located where your belly button is located. So now on my upper chest line or on my armhole depth line, I'm just going to mark what I have on my shoulder on my upper chest line. So I'm going to measure what I have on my shoulder, which is my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I'm going to mark that on my armhole depth line. Now I'm going to find the midpoint. Then I'm going to go in by 0.5 inches. Now on my upper chest line, I mark my bust measurement divided by 4. On my bust line, I marked my bust measurement divided by 4. So I'm going to be adding 1 inch of ease. So I marked my bust measurement divided by 4, and I'm going to be adding 1 inch of ease. This is because I do not want a tight fitting jacket. So you can add the amount of ease you want depending on how big you want the jacket to be. So now on my waistline, I mark my waist measurement divided by 4, and I'm adding 1 inch of ease. So what you could do, you could also use your bust measurement on your waistline if you want a straight jacket instead of one that is shaped like mine. So now for my center front, this is my center front, I'm going to go in by 1 inch, and that is going to serve as for my buttonholes or the overlap I want on my jacket. So this is going to serve for the buttons, where my buttons will lay. So this is my center front. So from the center front now, I'm also going to determine how wide I want my lapel collar to be, and I'm going to go with 3.5 inches. I later changed it to 2.5 inches, but I marked 3.5 inches as the width of my lapel collar, but I changed it later. So now that I've gotten or determined that, the next step is I'm just going to mark my waist measurement, shoulder to waist measurement. So like imagine this is your client or this is you, and we have two different types of location of the waist. We have the higher waist and the lower waist. So this is where the higher waist is located, and the higher waist is usually located about 2.5 inches away from the belly button, and the lower waist is located on the belly button. So I'm going to mark down my high waist, my shoulder to high waist measurements. So or it's also called your natural waist. So I'm going to mark down my shoulder to high waist measurement, and mine is 16 inches. So that is going to help me determine my break point for my lapel collar. So now that I've marked that, from that point, now that we marked our shoulder to waist measurement, so from that point now, I'm just going to go up by 2 inches from that point, and that's going to serve as where the break point for my lapel collar. So you just have to be creative. You can make yours lower, you can make yours higher. So you just have to be creative. It depends on how the picture looks like. So for my neck width, I'm going to go in by 0.25 inches. So I went in by 0.25 inches and I connected. So I'm going to extend my neck depth to the width of my lapel collar like I did here. So I extended it there. So this is if you want a straight, like a straight lapel. I don't know how to describe it, but I hope the image describes it for you. But if you want yours to be slanted, if you want to, because some is slanty, so if you want yours to be slanted, you can mark your neck depth to your lapel width, then you go down by 0.5 inches or you go down by 1 inch. So you can either go down by 0.5 inches or 1 inch, depends on how slanty you want yours to be. They are just going to connect it all the way to your neck width. You know that where that red line is, so you're just going to connect it there. So with a straight line like so. So this is if you want a slanty lapel collar, but for me, I'm going to be using a straight one. So I connected it like so. So I'm going to go with a straight one. So it just depends on you. So you just have to be creative. So after doing that, I'm just going to use a curve to connect the 2 points together. And this is where I decided that my lapel is too big. Like I wanted something smaller than this. So I decided to reduce the width of my lapel to 2.5 inches. So this just depends on you. You can make yours as big or as small as you want. You just have to be creative. So I'm just giving guys the steps. So it just left for you to alter it and do it however you want. So now that I have changed the width of my lapel, I'm just going to connect the 2 points together using a curve like so. So I'm just cancelling this out. This is my old width, so that you guys can't be confused. So I just cancelled it out. So now we're going to be working with the back pattern. So by now you'd have drafted your back bodies. So the back bodies is almost the same way as drafting the front. The only difference for the back bodies is the midpoint. You're just going to go in by 0.25 inches because this is a jacket. So you go in by 0.25 inches from that midpoint. Then that's all. So now also your neck depth for your back is 1 inch and the neck width is the same as the front. So now we're just going to measure our neckline because we need to measure the neckline. So I'm just going to measure my neckline. So I got 3.5 inches. So I'm going to be extending my front neckline by 3.5 inches. And what I like to do sometimes is add extra 0.5 inches to that, making it 4 inches. So I'm just going to extend. And place my back neck circumference, which was 3.5 inches. So like I said, I placed it there and this is it. And what I like to do is I like to add extra 0.5 inches to that. This is because I rather have excess than for me to have limited quantity of that or whatever. So I usually add extra 0.5 inches and I chop it off. So that depends on you. So remember that this is where our button is going to be. So this is where our buttons are going to be. So I don't want you guys to be confused. That's why I'm showing you. So now the next step, we're almost done with this pattern. So the next step is to determine where you want your joining to be before the extension. So from that inner red line there, I went out by 2 inches and it landed directly on my center front. So this depends on you. So that is where it's going to be, and this is how it's going to be extended. I hope you are seeing the picture. So this is how it's going to be, but you can't just draw a straight line like that. So I'm just going to show you guys how you're going to use your pattern master to draw the curve. So in your pattern master, you have a middle line here. So this is the midpoint. Before you have these 2 curves at the sides, which is your angle 45 degrees, you have a middle point. So you're going to place that middle point where you want your joining to end. So that middle point will be where I want my joining to end. Remember that mine ended directly on my center front, so I placed the midpoint on my center front there. Then I'm just going to use that my angle 45 degrees to determine the curve or shape I want. So please just watch carefully what I'm doing. I place the midpoint so I can move my pattern master however I want, making sure that the midpoint of my pattern master is still on my center front, which is where I want my joining to end. Then I'm going to follow that angle 45 degrees till I get the perfect slant I want. So see, I place it on the angle 45 degrees and that is what I got. So I'm just going to make sure I have 2 inches. So because you have to come up by 2 inches or however inches you want, but I used 2 inches, so I'm just going to extend it like so. So I hope you are seeing the picture now. So our lapel collar is coming to life. So now for here, I'm going to make mine 3.5 inches. This depends on you too, but I made mine 3.5 inches. So I'm just going to use my straight ruler now and connect. But you can't connect like that. What you are just going to do is, remember that these are angle 45 degrees here. These are angle 45 degrees. So you're just going to make sure that angle 45 degrees lays flat on this red line here. So I'm just going to go through that again and show you guys how you're going to place it. So remember that this is our midpoint here. This is the midpoint, this one here. So you're going to make sure the midpoint is over here. I'm just going to make sure that this angle 45 degrees line is on this red line here. So the midpoint will be here while the angle 45 degrees will be here. So just look at the way I place my pattern master. So this is it. Then I'll follow the other angle 45 degrees line that is going towards there, and that's going to help me get the slant I want. So this is it. So I'm just going to make sure it gives me 3.5 inches because that's how wide I want mine to be. So I've marked it. So now I'm just going to take my curve and connect. And that's it. So what I also like to do is, remember that we added our back neckline to the front. So I like to just curve that because I do not want mine to be straight, just so that I can lay flat properly on the neckline. So that's why I usually curve it. So this is what we have. So now we're just going to determine where our facing is going to be, and from that red line I came in by 2 inches. So I came in by 2 inches like this. It depends on you. You can also use your mid shoulder. Then from the center front, remember that this is our center front here, I'm going to go in by 2 inches also, or 2.5 inches. It just depends on you. Then I'll take a straight ruler now and connect the 2 points together. Remember that jacket always has a facing before you place your lining. So if you want a sewing tutorial, please just comment below, because some things you just have to sew it. So for the back pattern, there's really nothing to change. So this is just it for the back pattern. Just make sure that you add your ease to the back pattern just like you did for the front. Remember that I added 1 inch of ease to my front, so I also added 1 inch of ease to my back. So there's nothing really much to talk about in the back pattern. It's that easy. Just make sure that you cut your back pattern on fold because it's going to be the center back. And that's it, guys. This is how to draft a crop jacket, a crop lapel or notched collar or whatever they call it. So that's how to do this. So next we're just going to be drafting the sleeves, and this will be done in another tutorial, not this one, because I do not want the video to be that long. So thank you guys so much for watching this tutorial, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.